Good evening. This right here is the great state of Texas. And just yesterday, Mr. Ken Paxton, who is, of course, the Attorney General of Texas, he announced that his agency has convicted a Texas woman of 26 counts of voter fraud. Specifically, according to this official statement right here, which came from the Texas Attorney General's Election Integrity Unit, a woman who formerly served as a deputy registrar in Southeast Texas pleaded guilty to 26 felony counts of voter fraud stemming from her involvement in a 2018 local election. Here's specifically what part of this statement said, quote, Monica Mendez of Port Lavaca pleaded guilty to 26 felony counts of voter fraud, including 3 counts of illegal voting, 8 counts of election fraud, 7 counts of assisting a voter to submit a ballot by mail, and 8 counts of unlawful possession of a mail ballot. Mendez ran a vote harvesting operation on behalf of a subsidized housing corporation in order to influence the outcome of a utility board election. Now, the last part of the statement here, the part regarding the type of election that this was, is really worth highlighting. Because you see, Ms. Monica Mendez's crimes, they were related to a 2018 election that was held over in Bloomington, Texas, which is a relatively small town of approximately 2,000 people. What happened was that back in 2018, this local precinct was having an election over who would be sitting on their district water board, the board that's in charge of the water-related issues in that municipality. And during this election, there was a company that was called ALMS, which is a subsidized housing real estate corporation, and they wanted to, for one, get rid of the incumbent officials. They wanted to take control of the board for themselves, and therefore they wanted to be able to cut the water rates for their rental properties substantially, saving themselves massive amounts of money. However, instead of going through the normal electoral process, such as by convincing the local constituents to vote in their favor, this company decided to instead take a more, you can say, creative approach, evidenced by the fact that they began registering quite literally hundreds of new voters, all of whom happened to have the exact same mailing address, a P.O. box that was associated with ALMS. And according to the Attorney General's office, Ms. Mendez, who was the deputy registrar, meaning that she was actually the one in charge of registering the citizens to vote, she was the one in charge of running this vote harvesting operation within the city on behalf of the corporation, a crime that she has now been found guilty of. Here's specifically how this statement from the Attorney General's office continues, quote, after Mendez entered a guilty plea on all 26 counts and confirmed in court that all counts could be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, District Judge Eli Garza sentenced Mendez to 5 years deferred adjudication probation. And indeed, a guilty plea to 26 felony counts of voter fraud netted Ms. Mendez a 5-year deferred probation. And besides not ever seeing the inside of a jail cell, Ms. Mendez, well, if she complies with the court's probation terms, the charges will actually be dismissed after 5 years, as if she had committed no illegal ballot harvesting at all. Furthermore, at this moment, it's unclear whether there are any other investigations related to this matter that are still ongoing, because one would naturally assume that if Ms. Mendez was running an illegal ballot harvesting operation in order to benefit a corporation, well, then in theory at least, someone at the corporation must have somehow been involved. However, as of this moment, it's not exactly clear whether any of the executives from this company are under investigation. But having said that, exactly 1 year ago today, the Texas Attorney General came out and he said that his office had over 500 election fraud cases that were pending litigation within the Texas court system. And these 500 cases are being investigated and pursued through Ken Paxton's election fraud unit. However, perhaps it's just slow moving, or perhaps it's just difficult to prove these types of cases in court, because besides this prosecution of Ms. Mendez and her 26 felony counts of voter fraud, there's only been one other notable case of voter fraud within the last few months, which has successfully been prosecuted over in Texas. That other case occurred in Gregg County, Texas, wherein the Gregg County Commissioner, as well as his wife, both pled guilty in a vote harvesting scheme. Here's specifically how the Texas Election Integrity Unit within the Attorney General's office described that other case that was prosecuted earlier this year. Quote, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton announced that Shannon Brown, who is the Texas County Commissioner, and his wife Marlena Jackson each pleaded guilty to 1 count of election fraud, a Class A misdemeanor, for their role in illegal vote harvesting in the March 2018 Gregg County Democratic primary election, where Brown was elected Gregg County Commissioner Precinct 4 by just 5 votes. Brown and Jackson were sentenced to 1 year of probation and a fine of $2,000. And as that statement mentioned, both council member Shannon Brown, as well as his wife, were both sentenced to 1 year in jail. However, both sentences were probated, meaning that neither of them will see the inside of a jail cell. Furthermore, it's also worth noting that Mr. Brown actually did not have to resign from his post, and to this very day, he continues to be an acting county commissioner. Here's in fact what he said as a part of his statement after pleading guilty. Quote, I am proud of my service on the Commissioner's Court. I intend to finish what we have started, and I look forward to continue vigorously representing my constituents. Very cool. Now, these slow-moving developments over in Texas are not alone, because you likewise are seeing some very high-profile voter fraud cases taking place across the entire country, such as the case over in California, where the exposure of voter fraud actually led to a reverse result in a local government election. Then over in Arizona, you had a former mayor who was found guilty of illegally harvesting ballots in what the local authorities there described as a sophisticated ballot harvesting scheme. Then over in the city of Philadelphia, you had a former congressman, as well as 2 election judges, plead guilty to a voter fraud scheme wherein the former congressman would act as an election consultant. He would take money from clients who were running for office and then use some of that money as a bribe to the local election judges in order to rig the results. That over in the state of New York, you had a councilwoman who recently pled guilty to a federal identity theft case after it was discovered that she was fraudulently submitting absentee ballots during her re-election bid. Then over in the state of New Jersey, just a few weeks ago, you had a city councilman reject a plea agreement in an election fraud case regarding mail-in ballots. Now, that particular case is still obviously ongoing, and in fact, there are many such cases across the entire country. And of course, we here at the Epoch Times, we will continue to follow all these cases and report any developments to you without any spin and without any false narratives. And if you'd like to read more about this recent case out in Texas, the one regarding the 26 felony counts of voter fraud, or if you'd like to read about any of the cases that we discussed in today's episode, I'll throw all those links down into the description box below this video for you to check out and reference. And all I ask in return is that if you take a quick moment and vote with your finger to smash that like button so the YouTube algorithm will be forced to share this video out to ever more people. And also, if you haven't already, consider subscribing to this channel as well. That way you can get honest news like this delivered to your YouTube feed every single weekday. And now Sir, what's this? Of course it's Sekur, because we use the Sekur app, which is the sponsor of today's episode, as well as an awesome email and message service provider that actually cares about your privacy. Now listen, it's no big secret that our data is being mined and remined all the time. In fact, there was a recent study that was published in the year 2020, which found that 155 million Americans, likely including you and me, have suffered some form of data breach. And frankly, that's only what's publicly known. However, all those past problems with privacy issues and data mining, well, that can be an issue of the past, because moving forward, you can use the Sekur app, which both your messages, your emails, and your phone calls can remain private. That's because they have their servers and their data centers located in Switzerland instead of in the US or China or Russia. And why does that matter? Because Switzerland has the strictest data privacy laws in the entire world, and they are not subject to the intrusive Cloud Act. Now, what I love the most about the Sekur app is that they don't collect my data, they don't mine my data, they don't mine the data and phone numbers of my friends and family. Everything is private. And best of all, at least in my opinion, this does not work with your big tech email provider just because it is not secure. And so check it out. You can head on over to Sekur.com, and if you use promo code Roman, you can get 25% off. And frankly, their rates are not even that expensive. It only starts with $5 for the messenger and $10 for the email and messenger combo. And best of all, they offer a 7-day free trial. And now lastly, over on Epoch TV, we just published a phenomenal interview between myself and the president of Open the Books, which is a government watchdog group. And in that interview, he explained to us how his organization successfully obtained documents from the NIH showing that in a 10-year span of time, government scientists like Dr. Fauci, Dr. Collins, and so on received somewhere between $350 to $400 million in royalty payments. Here's a trailer.
$350 million to $400 million worth of these third-party royalties were paid. We don't know who paid them. They redacted, they blanked out the company paying the royalty. They also redacted the payment amount to the individual scientist, and they redacted the invention, the number of the patent or the license number. So why are they redacting information? NIH needs to come clean with the American people. We need to be able to follow the money. We need to be able to see the gory details.
If you'd like to check out that awesome interview in its glorious entirety, you can do so over on Epoch TV, which is our no censorship video platform. I'll throw the link. It'll be right there at the very top of the description box. I hope you click on it, and I hope you check it out. Then until next time, I'm your host, Roman from the Epoch Times. Stay informed and stay free.